Right, now before we get into this video, I need to just talk to you about something. Remember, you are my subscribers. I adore you, I love you, and therefore I'm going to tell you something now that is incredibly important. I'm going to talk to you about a VPN. Now trust me, everyone in the world needs a little bit of VPN action in their life. I was brand new to VPNs. I didn't understand quite how wonderful they were. But trust me, it has elevated my life beyond recognition. NordVPN. They are the perfect place to go for all of your VPN needs. Make sure that you check them out. The link is in the description below, and they have been kind enough to partner with me on this video. Have you ever been on Twitter or whatever it's called now, and a goal has popped up and you can't watch it because you were in the wrong location? Has that ever happened to you? It probably has. It hasn't happened to me. Do you know why? Because of NordVPN. Booking flights. You ever heard of something called a cookie? Well, what happens is they know that you want to book flights and they track it and they make it very expensive for you. NordVPN allows you to act like you're somewhere else, so you get the best possible rate on any flights you may book. It's also so cheap. It is comparable to the price of a cup of coffee. And guess what? One account allows you to link 6 different devices. So to grab your exclusive discount off your NordVPN plan, make sure that you head to nordvpn.com/Rory. And if you do that, if you use the discount code that I just gave you there, you will receive 4 extra months for free. And guess what? There's absolutely no risk. Because Nord give you a 30-day money-back guarantee. That's nordvpn.com/Rory. And obviously, the link is in the description below. What's an absolute sickener? A proper heartbreak. I'm so gutted with that performance. Partly because I was so inspired with what happened last week against Liverpool. I thought that we were so good. I loved the tenacity with which we played. I loved the spirit that was on display, particularly after going a goal down. I thought there was something really resilient. And there was a quality that I loved about Chelsea back. And it was there for all to see last week. And then that's what we put in away at West Ham. Going over to Upton Park, it's one of our most important games of the season. East versus West London, it's a rivalry that really matters. And what has to happen when you play one of your most aggressive rivals, you have to elevate your performances. The players have to. They owe it to the fans to perform. And that's the most shoddy performance. That second half was pathetic. It was so out of order. To put in a performance like that, so devoid of any heart, any passion, any spirit, any flair, any excitement, nothing. It was so diluted. It was so tepid. And it's just so out of order that they've put in that performance. Really am so gutted. I thought that we were so good against Liverpool. I really did. And I loved seeing that quality on display. The fight, the heart. We were back. And that's all we demand from our team at Chelsea. Just do us proud. Do the badge on your heart proud. That's all you have to do. And that, going over to West Ham. A rivalry that counts. One of our biggest games of the season going over to West Ham. And that's what they put in. It was atrocious. And that second half was just so pitiful. We made it so easy for West Ham. And let's remember, West Ham are so average. And that's what they've done to us. It's so pathetic. You've got £1 billion worth of talent. And we've been done by a 10-man West Ham United team managed by David Moyes. It's pathetic and it's unacceptable. You've got, what, 115 million quid, Enzo Fernandez missing penalties. Obviously, that can happen to anyone. Look, I did see glimpses from Chelsea today. I'm not irreparably down. I'm just so gutted. But, you know, you've got Enzo Fernandez, 115 million quid missing penalties. You've got Moises Caicedo, 115 quid. Giving a penalty away like that, he had a nightmare when he came on. That debut, giving a penalty away on your debut, Caicedo, off the back of everything that's been happening, trying to get his signature. And that's the performance he puts in. That debut, by the way, it's going to go down in history, isn't it? It's going to be up there with Wayne Bridge against Liverpool for Chelsea or Jonathan Woodgate, Real Madrid. That debut will be the answer to a quiz question. Giving a penalty away on your debut. And do you know what really does add insult to injury? We've been, pursuing midfielders. We've been desperately trying to sign midfielders. We've been spending ridiculous, fairly brash, almost putrid sums of money, spraying our disgusting venture capitalist money all over the world. Anyone will have it. And you've got James Ward-Prowse pulling strings. James Ward-Prowse, we've been buying central midfielders, left, right and centre. Any central midfielder. James Ward-Prowse, best geezer on the pitch. James Ward-Prowse, match winner. James Ward-Prowse, 2 assists? Corner and open play. Does everything right. It just shows you, doesn't it? And you got, Conor Gallagher in there. I just don't understand what is going on. And this is the problem. This is the problem with the strategy from this ownership. It really doesn't make sense. And look, I think that Chelsea are going to be okay this season. I did see enough in the performance to be optimistic. I really did. And I think even the most ardent of West Ham fans would agree that Chelsea should have gone in at the break, winning the game. And had we, scored that penalty or whatever, it could have been a very different end to the game. But West Ham got their noses in front and they did really well, and they certainly deserved the victory at the end. So I do think we're going to be fine. We play Luton on Friday night. I think we'll get the 3 points without too much stress. And ultimately, I still believe that we can challenge for the top 4 or 5, whatever it ends up being for the European Cup. But it's not only about that. It's about the pride in the shirt. It's about the passion on display. It's about doing the fans proud. It's about acknowledging the rivalry. Like the away end was empty. Do you see? Like 5 minutes before the end of the game, the away end was empty. Chelsea have a very dedicated, loyal following, and when we go over to West Ham, we're loud, it matters. Empty. That is what that team did to that away end. It emptied it. Like, you have to question the players there. You have to question some of the decision-making from some of the players. So many players all over the place. Like, the keeper. Like, Robert Sanchez, he was meant to be an improvement on Kepa Arrizabalaga. That's generally what a transfer is. Kepa Arrizabalaga has gone over to Real Madrid. Previously, he was linked to Bayern Munich. I was reading. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was reading that Kepa Arrizabalaga was going to Bayern Munich. My mate went to me, he knows Tuchel. Tuchel obviously has a relationship with him. You're like, yeah, Tuchel knew him well enough not to play him. And he's potentially going to go there, and he's ended up at Real Madrid. Meanwhile, we've signed a geezer that was dropped by Brighton in favour of Jason Steele, and then comes in. Look, he made one half-decent save. But I just don't know what's going on. I really don't. I'm trying to be as optimistic as possible, but something just doesn't tally. Like, Mauricio Pochettino should not be losing to David Moyes. Like, it's never happened before. And yet you give Mauricio Pochettino this vast array of talent, or at least expense, and we end up getting turned over. That second half should have been an opportunity for us. Like, the players should have really used that as an opportunity. A chance to galvanise the team, a chance to inspire the fans, a chance to kind of go down in Chelsea folklore. We haven't had good results in this new West Ham stadium. Long gone are the days when I've seen Lampard ping goals in at Upton Park, Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank ping goals in at Upton Park, John Terry ping goals in at Upton Park, Joe Cole, the list goes on and on and on, Damien Duff. We don't have a good record over there. I was over there fairly recently in the Cup. I remember Eden Hazard scored a blinder. But generally speaking, we struggle in the league over there. And therefore, when it wasn't going our way at half-time, Pochettino could have got in their ear and said, right, Chelsea fans desperate to win this game. He would know the rivalry. It's the same with when Tottenham go there. And it matters. It massively matters when you go away to West Ham. And they came out. They were so shoddy, so pathetic, so second best, pitiful, lacking in any sort of aggression. Souček running the midfield. James Ward-Prowse running the midfield, winning the 50-50s. Paqueta, 50-50, celebrating like a lunatic when he won a throw-in. That sort of passion on display. It just didn't seem to be there from us. And it is a real worry. I honestly thought we would come out off the back of the interval, and I thought we were going to go for the jugular. The deflation of the penalty, I thought, right, we're going to come out here and we're going to go for it. Impotent. Totally and utterly impotent. We didn't threaten. We didn't fight. We were passive. We were bullied. We were apathetic. We were lacking in so much. Do you know what we were? We were laid back. It wasn't an entirely different tempo to the game that I watched Chelsea play in pre-season. It wasn't entirely different. The players seemed to be so relaxed, so laid back in a derby. Second game into the season, away from home. An opportunity to make a statement in the league. It just wasn't there. It really wasn't. And we were so indifferent. West Ham, they fancied it. They could smell blood. And they went for the jugular. They sensed the vulnerability and they exploited it. And, we were losing. We were losing the game. And yet you barely remember Areola making a save. I think Noni Madueke, it may have got deflected, but Noni Madueke finally forced a save. And it was a very good save from Areola. But when would that have been? 15 minutes left? so lacking. And ultimately, you know, they were the better team. They were definitely the better team, and we just weren't good enough. Ultimately, we were not good enough. I think we got into some good areas, but the final ball, the finish was lacking. We didn't create enough clear-cut chances. In fact, I don't think we really created any clear-cut chances, but I did see enough to suggest that we're going to have a decent season. I really did, so long as we want it. And that sounds like such a ridiculous thing to say, but I genuinely believe that there's a lot of truth in the point I'm trying to make here. Is the desire there? Are these players who have all come in for a lot of money on very generous contracts, don't be fooled on that front. We obviously know that players moving for over £100 million are going to improve their terms. So if you read that isn't necessarily the case, a little bit of critical thinking needs to be employed. So we have an awful lot of very, very rich young men. Is the desire there? Is the fight there? Is the desperation to be the best? Is the demand to be the very best that they can be? Is the pursuit of success and immortality the reason they get up in the morning? Does Mudryk want to win a Ballon d'Or? Does Mudryk want to beat West Ham? Does he actually desperately wake up in the morning, the way that I did this morning, and desperately want to beat West Ham United? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. But if the desire isn't there, then ultimately you will never succeed in the Premier League. And look, Pochettino is definitely the right man for this job. But that's what I think he needs to do. He needs to coax out of these players that will to win, because it just wasn't there today. It was flat, it was tepid, it was impotent, and it was actually a heartbreaker because it matters. So desperately matters against West Ham United. And ultimately, I think we're going to be fine. But the question has to be, are Chelsea capable of scoring enough goals? You know, we've spent so much money in the midfield area, and I sort of think that was necessary. But where are the goals coming from? Agard was sent off. We're playing against 10 men, a very vulnerable West Ham United team. A porous West Ham United team. They lost 20 Premier League games last season. West Ham United lost 20 games last season. They managed to accrue only 40 points. And yet they scored 3 goals and we scored 1. Are we going to score enough goals? They had 10 men. Their best defender off. And yet somehow we couldn't do it. It's annoying because there were some positives today. Chukwuemeka's goal was a beautiful sight, and some of the football that we played at the beginning I thought was truly excellent. But ultimately, today's going to be remembered for a terrible debut from Moises Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez missing a penalty, David Moyes getting one over on Mauricio Pochettino, and Chelsea ultimately losing. Truly gutted, really am. And it's West Ham. Certain things really matter. When Chelsea play Leeds, it matters. When Chelsea play West Ham United, it matters. Chelsea play Tottenham, Chelsea play Arsenal, Chelsea play Manchester United. And the players really do need to understand that. What a way to ruin a weekend, man. And all that good work against Liverpool. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Have I overreacted here? We're going to bounce back and be fine, aren't we? Aren't we? Tell me we are. Cheers.